Building prices are still high due to inflation, supply chain, and availability. What does it mean to you if you're going to build a house? Hey, this is Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. If you're going to build a house today, you have to understand that your cost per square foot has gone up significantly. In fact, I've talked to a number of builders about their home costs, and they've gone from, in the past, a shell going up for $75 to $125 to nearly as much as it cost to build out a house 2 years ago. Now, what does this mean for your design if you want a custom home or you want a home of your own on a small farm, homestead, or estate? Well, it means that you may not be able to build as much home as you want, and you may need to go with a smaller, more compact home that is going to be more energy efficient, is going to be less materials, and maybe even an open format. Now, if you've listened to some of my past programs, I've talked about the ideal type of house in the majority of climates, even in the temperate climate, is a courtyard style house. Now, all across China, India, the Middle East, a courtyard style house allowed you to build the majority of your living space outdoors, and then your kitchen and your bathrooms and different things like that as an indoor space. Now, it really depends on what kind of house you want. The Scandinavian style house, even in a cold environment, has big open windows that face the rising sun or face the majority of the sun during the day. They have angles to allow a lot more solar energy to get into the home. They still require materials, but with an open format, and an open format means most of the house is open in the middle. The main rooms, such as the bathroom, the storage spaces, the kitchens, those are the only enclosed spaces. The rest of the house is open to sunlight, is open to fresh air, and the overall home has living space in the outdoors. Now, again, if you're in a climate that's cold and you get snow, that outdoor living space may be a canopied area that has simply a roof and 3 walls with some kind of sliding screen in the front. Now, or a sliding glass door in the front. Now, that's still expensive materials, but built correctly, you're going to be able to have the home that you're looking for with the opportunity for energy savings as well as material savings going into the property itself. The stick-built home isn't necessarily the home of the future. There's concrete, straw bale, packed and rammed earth. There's different types of block in construction. I've seen a lot using recycled materials. So the timber frame home, for example, allows you to build a larger home with more open space in the middle and to get the core frame of the property up before you have the internal rooms. Now, again, I'm recommending for folks who want to get more from their land and better opportunities is to design their property so that they have a smaller home. And in fact, I'm calling it intentional thrift, so that you have a smaller space that can go up quickly and large outdoor living areas. Imagine an outdoor kitchen. Yes, it looks like a pavilion with a kitchen on one end of it, but it can double as daily cooking, entertainment space, and if you've got animals and you do processing, an opportunity for you to process in a large area that's easy to clean. Now, the design differences might be a concrete floor with drains in the floor or a long trench drain, and where that liquid goes, rather than just going out in the yard, you may want that liquid to go into a sump or a gray water area, because if you're processing animals in the same area that you might have a big banquet dinner, you want to make sure that you can clean the area up really well, that you can bleach it down, that you can make it clean. But again, a large pavilion with a kitchen on one end, maybe even a bathroom on one end, like you might see at a park, is not an expensive structure, but has the potential to be enclosed in the future if you should decide to turn it into a larger living space. The courtyard house is very useful because in the same footprint that your dream house would fit, you could have outdoor living space, garden areas, leisure areas, and the right solar aspect to really not have to worry too much about heating and air conditioning. This is important to understand for your area. You want to gather the natural sunlight to warm biomass and or heat mass in order to radiate that heat out over the day. But that hot summer sun that's high in the sky, you don't want it to to be trapped in the home. It takes a little bit more design consideration, but even today when housing prices are more expensive, you can still have the dream home that you've wanted with some minor adjustments. Maybe the traditional stick-built home is going away. The material cost, rather than having a fancy kitchen, maybe have a more industrial, minimalist kitchen. But ultimately, you can have the design and the lifestyle that you want. Now, what about converting sheds or having a barn-dominium? Now, I've been looking at Morton Buildings, and they have some great equestrian-style buildings where you actually have animal shelter on one side and you have a little living space in the other. Those are great ideas because it's a dual-use building. You're going to get maximum use out of the building. I drew up one design for a client, and I don't draw architectural drawings. I draw up concept designs for what they're looking for. So this basically allowed them to have a small living area, and they're just looking for 2 bedrooms, a small office, and then a basic kitchen area, and then like a kitchenette. But on the other side, they're looking for the opportunity to use the larger space for goats, hog, and chicken and rabbit. Now, you might think, I don't want hogs living next to my main living area. And that would be a misunderstanding about what a farm should smell like. If your farm is done correctly, and you have livestock and you're managing it correctly, you should not smell anything. So, for example, when a horse stable is connected to a house or a little living quarters, a lot of times that's done for whoever's managing the stables, like your stable manager. But even if a stable manager is going to live there, it leans towards deep mulch bedding. It leans towards having a system for cleaning out the stalls. And then even if you have rabbits or chickens or goats, there's a rotation of the usage. And then also during the day, letting those animals out onto pasture. So again, the design consideration goes far beyond the home itself. Now, prices will go down in the future, and there will be opportunities to build that dream home. But what if today you could get started with a home that has higher utility value? A home that provides you perhaps a larger courtyard, fencing to allow you to have a better garden inside, and minimal housing to help you get started today. The options are there. And you don't have to start with goats, chickens, pigs, all that stuff at once. You can start with a simple structure that gives you the living space that you're looking for, a lot of shared indoor space, a lot of storage, and then your outdoor spaces are outside with maybe an extended porch, maybe with a pavilion that's near the home, maybe with that barn that you're going to store equipment in. Maybe you make that barn a little bit longer, write it off as an agricultural expense, and then you have a multi-purpose space on the end of it. Growing up in Southern Maryland, I had lots of friends that had a little kickboxing studio or a little workout room in the third stall of their tractor storage, and it worked out rather well. The key to understand here is that minimal is more valuable, and that you can design on paper long before you do it in real life. This is going to help you get better pricing. This is going to help you get a better idea of how the property would work for your goals and objectives of your small farm, homestead, or estate. And it opens the door to having a phased approach to get into a property or into a home. Let's say you managed to acquire 40 acres and there's an existing house, and your dream was to tear down the house, put up a new house. What if you got that house in operating order, lived in it for a little while, and then later built your house and using that as a rental property? So you can have a farm manager live there. You could rent it out to your kid. Growing up, there was a family. He had, I think, 40 acres or so, 30 or 40 acres. And over the years, as his children got older, he actually leased the land to his children or sold off the land to his children, depending on how they wanted to do it. And the children built a home there. So now that he's in retirement, his children are within walking distance of his home. Think about that. So don't be dismayed by increased prices. I was just talking, had a conversation with a kitchen remodeler, and they say that the kitchen quality paneling that used to be $60 a 4x8 sheet is now $90 a 4x8 sheet. That's not profit he's getting to do in his business. That's additional cost passed on to that customer. And understanding that reclaimed wood can be just as expensive as brand new wood, or you may not have the availability. Wouldn't it be better to simply have an easier design to match the needs of, get some progress in your home, and then be able to live in it comfortably? Now, of course, we have to worry about the possibility that you'll move into a place and it won't be finished in a timely manner. And because you're there every day, you kind of get used to it not being where it needs to be. Some folks have told me that they're going to buy an RV or a trailer. Now, I went out and priced RVs and trailers for a couple projects that we're looking at, and an RV, even a 2-bedroom RV with a small kitchenette, can be $20,000 to $30,000. For that price, you could start your home. So again, think about more open designs. Think about more minimalistic designs that have fewer enclosed rooms. And think about solar aspect, larger courtyards with outdoor living space. Think about multi-use buildings that could be classified as agricultural, so that you can get them on your property and get the uses out of them. One of the designs we're working on is actually an outdoor building that has a commercial kitchen in the side of the building, and there's actually 2 bays so that you can bring in a hog or you can bring in a cow on a lift. So you can either drive the tractor in, bring him in, or you can use like this I-beam hoists across the roof. And so the majority of the year, this is a kitchen. And it's an outdoor kitchen. It's got canvas panels on the walls during the winter time. It's not ideal, but it's a kitchen right away. And then when it comes harvest time, it can process rabbits, chickens, hog, goat, deer, anything that needs to be processed for the farm itself. Now, it's not a large space, but it's, again, a multi-purpose space. They can throw some picnic tables up or some folding tables up, put some chairs around it, and have a banquet out in the summer or in the spring. And during the fall and the winter, they can be processing animals there without having to take the animal off farm. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of choice. But again, this all boils down to a written plan. Your written plan, you can start pricing things out. In a lot of cases, you can get restaurant supplies and materials like stainless steel tables and sinks from restaurants going out of business, or in the reclamation market. We were just at a reclamation place and saw a lot of furniture and a lot of sinks and a lot of things like that you can get at a very good price. You may not be able to get a builder to do that for you, because the builders I've been talking to that build stick, there's still people building $1 million homes. There's still people building $500,000 homes. That's always got to be there, no matter how bad the economy is. But if you are more conservative about your financial situation, you're more interested in having the wealth of quality land that is producing abundance. If you want to have more money for livestock, for orchards, for garden spaces, and those other elements, it is not unusual for someone to have a barn bigger than their house. To start off small, to start off modest, but I want you to think about the prosperity element here. Maybe you're not going to put the house on the ideal home site, because you could build a little farmhouse and then add on to it over the years. That works very well. It's worked for centuries. But maybe you're going to put that house closer to the road, more of a rental property, so that you can get that rental income on the property. Maybe it's going to be a cottage. Maybe you build 2 or 3 cottages over the next couple of years that later you're going to rent it out, because you're going to get a second income on your property as a bed and breakfast. There's one guy I was talking with who did a survey of his property. I do need to finish off his design plan, but ultimately he has got a bed and breakfast that has venues around the house. So rather than having a huge house, he has a very modest house, renting out by the room. And of course, he lives in the property. And then outdoors, there's several banquet areas or event spaces, rather than building the house larger. So the barn is being converted into a banquet for weddings, so you can have weddings out there. The kitchen is getting a door to the outside, so the main larger kitchen can be used for catering, rather than having to bring in a vehicle to cater, or to cater at a restaurant and ship things in. There's a lot of opportunities here. There's a lot of choices you can make. And the key is don't get frustrated. You can still get closer to your dreams. You can still get closer to the outcomes, but think about it in a different way. In permaculture, we say the problem is the solution. So the problem is materials are more expensive. So the solution is to use fewer materials. And we do that through design. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. If you've got questions about what I've shared here today, visit me at www.prosperityhomestead.org. I would love to hear your success story and some of your solutions for approaching and achieving the small farm, homestead, or estate that you would just love. And again, the higher the utility value, it's even possible that as the economy gets worse, as inflation grows, and as other people feel this pressure, you might be able to start getting more for your livestock, for your community-sponsored agriculture, from your market garden, and really put yourself in an excellent position to grow when everybody else is shrinking. Again, thanks for listening. I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead, where we help small farms, homesteads, and estate accomplish more with what they've got.